All right. I haven't done a video from a vehicle of any kind since 2 weeks ago in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Figured I would do a bike video for old time's sake. So today's topic is going to be the framework laptop and schematics being made available, and whether or not this is a step in the right direction, whether or not this can be considered, quote, real right to repair. So when the framework first started announcing themselves as a right to repair friendly company, I remember looking at the website and thinking, this is really good stuff. And then we asked about schematics being available, and they said, oh, I can't really answer that. And it's like, yeah, about that. And I think I was a bit of a dick about it, but I was a dick for a reason, because my T-shirt that I was selling 7 years ago, which, by the way, will be back in stock soon with an original picture of Mr. Clinton. I've been trying to get him to make the same angry face again, but with a high-quality camera, because the picture that I used for that T-shirt was from, I think, a Moto G second generation, which is a $150 phone from 8 years ago. Not the best camera, and I can't. So, since that was the perfect picture, we're just going to remake the original. We'll have that for sale shortly. And there's a reason I did that. It's so that I couldn't compromise shit later and pretend that I had accomplished something or that we had made progress that we hadn't actually made. There was an actual reason behind that slogan. And I think it's important to have, principles and reasons behind slogans like that. So they said, okay, we'll make something available. And what they made available was a schematic that was, I think it's, instead of being like a 70 or 90 page or 140 page schematic like what usually gets released or what you see me working with MacBooks, it was about 9 or 10 pages. And this schematic had virtually nothing of value in it. Like, you're not fixing anything off of that schematic. It doesn't have we'll say this is a charging chip. And the charging chip will then send power to this thing. But it's like, what about the 30 components around it and all their values and everything? So it's kind of useless. And Chris went to do a repair with it. And it kind of sucked. And because I'm an idiot, I didn't realize that they would actually give you a copy of the real schematic as long as you signed an NDA. And they make that offer available to repair shops. So we did, and we got a copy of it. Now, they had spoken to us on why it is that they were not open to making the schematics available publicly. And I understand the reason that they gave. See, when it comes to Apple, they'll just say safety, security, things can explode, Lewis is going to put TikTok on your phone, and all this other bullshit. I have no respect for that because I'm not dealing with the actual reasons. I'm dealing with a lobbyist pulling shit out of their ass. And you're not dealing with the actual reasons for their hesitation. The CEO of the company got on the phone with me and said, here are our reasons for hesitation, here's what we're afraid of, and here's why we're doing things the way that we are doing it. And then he came up with an actual honest-to-God compromise, and I can respect him for doing that. So in exchange for giving me the actual reasons why this has to be put behind an NDA and everything else, and I will give him the respect of when I'm doing that board repair video of not putting the schematic on the screen, which I think is fair. Again, they engage with me, we're a startup. Here are the very specific fears we have. Here are the very specific legal issues we will have in doing what it is that we're doing. Here is what I can give you to try and compromise with the schematics or die principle. And what do you think? I'm like, okay, listen, I respect the fact that you engage with me like an honest human being. I can't tell you what the reasons are because I said that I would, one moment, there's somebody tailgating on my right who doesn't want me to, I think he just wants me to fly over the fucking work zone. Typical New York driver, cunt asshole. But anyway, I forgot which city I'm riding in right now. For like a quick second, I forgot that I'm riding in a city full of cunt drivers. Cunt BMW drivers as well. The bike lane is a parking lane. For anybody wondering why I'm in the street, the bike lane is essentially where you park your car. That is not a bike lane. That is a parking lane. there's this little button you hit in the front of your car that makes the yellow lights blink, and apparently you're allowed to park anywhere you want after you do that. It's an amazing superpower. I gotta get that shit from my bike. 2 yellow lights that blink in the back, so I'm just allowed to do whatever the fuck I want. Look at I don't know if you could see all the glass on the floor. I said it's a 4K, but it depends on the angle. Yeah, there's a bunch of glass on the road of the bike lane as well, which is, just in case. Just in case you were actually able to use it for a bike. Yeah. God bless New York City. Anyway. Now the question has been coming up in my community page post. I made a community page post that you can check out. youtube.com/users/rossmangroup/community, where people have been saying, I forget if I deleted it or not. I usually purge them after a week or two. where people have been saying this is not real right to repair, you know, blah, 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 blah. And yes, is it schematics available to every single person on a download link? No, it is not. Is it better than every single other laptop manufacturer in the history of laptop production? At least in my lifetime? Yes, it's considerably better. It is better than every single other laptop manufacturer. Dell will not give me a schematic. Acer will not give me a schematic. Asus won't give me a schematic. Toshiba, Sony, HP, Compaq, Gateway, Packard Bell, Apple. None of these manufacturers will give me a schematic. And Framework did. So I appreciate that. That is a step in the right direction. That's a good thing. And I think it deserves to be a little bit of a celebration there. Now, there are a couple of questions that I think are worth addressing. You know, one of them is, okay, well, are they doing this just for you? Or will they do this? There's not even enough space to go through here. This bike, you know, this parking in the bike lane shit is starting to get seriously tiresome. Like, I feel like if I were an asshole, bigger one than I am now, I'd key every single car that's parked in there, but I don't have it in me to do that. But sometimes I wish I did. Anyway, here we go, let's get ahead of all this shit. E-bike! See all that traffic behind there? That's why I have an electric bicycle for getting around New York City. Every time somebody says, why don't you get around New York City in a car? It's like, yeah, man. Spoken like somebody that's never driven in a city. This is hell. Sitting in traffic like what you see to the right is absolutely miserable. It's such a fun video game just trying to find ways to get around all this shit. It turns driving and life into a little video game. Except you only get one life, which kind of... You need more lives in New York City than that, but... It really is like a video game. An interactive video game. But anyway, this is considerably better than every other laptop manufacturer. Let's go back to the questions. Question number 1. Is this only for Lewis or for everybody else? I don't know. Give it a shot, man. You know their website, so they said that they would make this available to repair shops. Well, are they only making it available to Lewis's repair shop or others? I'm sure that there are some repair shops out there that still are subscribed to this channel. And if you're a repair shop that's still subscribed to this channel, I welcome you to figure that out. I don't know how they would do this for end users, because with repair shops, you could at least kind of look up the owner of the business license and then get the owner of the business license to sign the NDA, so you know it's a real person. Whereas with individuals, any Tom, Dick, or Harry can create tom.dick.harry@gmail.com and use their fake name, Tom, Dick, Harry, to sign the NDA, get the schematic, release the schematic, and then after they've released the schematic, suffer no legal repercussions because they signed it with a fake name, so Framework doesn't even know who to go after. So I could understand how it may be a little bit more difficult to, you know, give the schematic out to any Tom, Dick, or Harry that emails them. Maybe they'd have to have some shit where they ask for your ID to confirm you're a real person. I don't know. But do I understand your main point, which is that this is different than just having the schematic available to everybody? Yes, I do. I really do. Trust me. I understand that it's not the same. But at the same time, I think people have to understand, I sincerely doubt that Framework is making and producing and designing every fucking element of the motherboard. Like, I am going to take a wild guess that what they're doing is they're saying, okay, we want this, you know, I don't know, a Cougar Point PCH and this many USB-C slots, some shit like that. And then after that is done, there's some stupidity up ahead. There's some serious stupidity happening up ahead, and I kind of want to figure out what it is. But I just don't want to get smashed into by this Camry. Yeah! He went to the left, and then I saw him put his right turn signal on. I was like, no, 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 no. I should have honked my horn, but for some reason going, ah! is my natural first response. Right turn signal here. Vroom. And... So here's my guess. My guess, because again, they told me some of the things that they're concerned, and I can't tell you those ones. But some of my other speculation is that they're just fundamentally not the ones that are doing every single little bit of the design of the board. And the people who are actually doing all that are the ones that are pulling the strings to some extent on what they can and cannot do. And I'm guessing that they have had a really awkward conversation with their supplier that nobody else is actually willing to have. And I respect them for doing that. You know, like this is the thing. So for instance, with the Fairphone, they're not making schematics available. Is that a violation of the schematics or die principle? Yes. But is Fairphone Qualcomm? You know, like is Fairphone Intel? Does Fairphone have the ability to actually make the radios and everything that goes into the phone from scratch? Or is Fairphone simply having somebody else, they saying, listen, we want a phone that does this, that, and the other with this kind of processor and radio, make it happen, and then having somebody else do it? I'm pretty sure that that's what they're doing, what a company like Fairphone is doing. But then that company gets to dictate the terms and say, you know, you can't have a schematic released. So people will ask, why don't you just make your own phone company? And a big part of the reason that they can't just make their own phone company is because at this point in time, I'm going to take a guess that to make your own phone company, you need to make your own processor and make your own radio and make your own fucking Bluetooth and Wi-Fi chipset. Like, you need to be able to make every single thing from scratch. Because when you're buying a Samsung phone or an iPhone or a OnePlus or a Pixel or any of this shit, like at the end of the day, like, are you really getting some sort of unique device, or are you getting, you know, a fucking LG screen, a Samsung screen with a Qualcomm chipset, and that's that? Like, it's not like every single one of these companies are making their own shit. Okay, with Apple, you have their own A-series processors. But for the most part, most of these companies are just using somebody else's processor and screen. Like, HTC was not making their own radio, to my knowledge. And if you want a real repair renaissance to happen, one of two things has to happen. Either A, companies have to figure out how to get enough bargaining power that they could actually twist the arm of their suppliers to allow them to make schematics available to repair shops, which is what Framework is doing. Or B, if you're worth $40 to $80 billion, start your own company that competes with Qualcomm. And that's a lot harder than making your own laptop manufacturer. You know how hard it's going to be to catch up to Qualcomm with all the freaking patents they have and everything and just create your own fucking ecosystem? Even if you did have the ability to reverse engineer all their chips, even if you did have the ability to actually create your own wireless modems and 5G chipsets and processors and all this other shit. Even if you did, you'd have to get around all the patents. I mean, this market is on lock. Good luck with all that. So Framework coming out with something that allows me to get access to a schematic in that marketplace, listen, that's a step forward. And I'm going to appreciate it. There's a reason that I'm using a Framework laptop right now instead of my ThinkPad, in spite of the fact that the Framework has no track point. I believe so much in what that company is trying to do that I am willing to give up the track point. And that's not easy for me. Trackpads suck. I haven't used a trackpad in like 12 years. They're horrible. It's a horrible a pointing device. It's a horrible tracking device. Vroom, baby, vroom. Left, left, left. Left. If I see somebody staring at their phone, I make sure they know that I'm there. I'm not a one-wheel GT. I don't ghost ride into people. My motor core is hitting 67 Celsius. Oh, I missed having fun riding this thing. I really did. There's so much fun involved in riding this thing. Getting the motor to 67 or 72 Celsius with good ventilation, oh, that takes work. You're having a fun ride if you manage to make that happen on a BBS HD with a sine wave controller. With the trapezoidal or square wave controllers, I mean, you don't really even have to go that fast to make that happen because they're not efficient. With a sine wave controller, you got to be a little bit of a crazy asshole to make that happen. And that's what I am to some extent, I think. A crazy asshole. I love it when you call me señorita. I don't know why, but I have Trump singing that song stuck in my head. The guy that did that video did a really bang-up job on it. Thank you. Ah, she let me go. That was very kind of her. She didn't have to do that. I love it when you call me señorita. Woo! Nice try, Van. Not gonna take me out that easy. And then maybe you'll have less restrictive and annoying laws. Be careful around cars that look like that, by the way. That's a dude that doesn't look before he makes a right turn. Okay, that guy was jaywalking, but still. I wasn't gonna hit him. You heard me, though. You heard me go. Heard that little BBS HD with redacted watts going through it. Nobody here. See, this is a red. And that delivery driver over there, he just kept going. See, if there's a red in this, I'll like at least treat it as a stop sign, you know? Like stop, let the people walk, and then go. Because you see, if you just treat the red light as if fuck it, it's a green, and there's pedestrians there, those pedestrians are gonna remember that electric bike asshole almost hit me. And then when it comes up for, on city council, should we have NYPD really enforce these laws and take these things off the street? Everybody's going to vote yes. And they're going to vote yes because of you. Versus if you stop, let the pedestrians go, and then keep it moving, they don't care that you went through the red light because they're not looking behind you to be a Karen. It's shit like that people don't think about. Like with repairability and repair shop shit. I want to be the type of repair shop that gets people that don't give a shit about repair to want to support what it is that I'm doing. Like, why do you think I release all this shit for free on how to fix your own stuff? Why do you think I did that for 7 years? I stopped in the crosswalk for her and she was going on a red. Because that's the way you create the widest base of support, the widest coalition, by getting the support of as many people as possible. It's never going to happen for e-bikes in this fucking city, though. I want to see it happen because, like, you could see when I'm riding this, this is such an efficient way of getting around in contrast to a traditional vehicle. It's so much more efficient. Like, I don't even mean, like, green energy-wise or anything like that. A Tesla, 160 to 400 watt-hours a mile. This thing is like, 12 to 40 watt-hours a mile. Not even from the green energy aspect of it, but just the amount of time it takes to get anywhere. Like, you waste so much fucking time in a car, it's ridiculous. And then the mental health of sitting in traffic and having to deal with douchebag drivers all day. Versus just being able to get around stuff. It's a beautiful way to get around, but it's not going to be something that sticks around for long. If people aren't good advocates for it. But I get why they do it, because, again, if you're like a Grubhub delivery driver who's barely making $7 or $9 an hour, like every single red light that you get through, every single second here or there, that shit adds up. Like, that's the difference between you living in a room that has air conditioning or not. And I get that. It still sucks, though. Okay. No! Never expect that somebody will use a turn signal for you. Just never expect it. I'm always watching the wheels going over those lines like you. I see you. Okay, let's go over here. If I can use my arm as a turn signal when I am using my arm and my hand to control the handlebar that steers the bike, then they can hit a turn signal when the turn signal is like on a stupid little stalk next to the steering wheel. That's the way. But, and New York City drivers, you get like 2 or 3 hours of lessons here. Here's a stupid multiple choice test. Onto the road. Drive around the block once or twice, and then you're onto the road to commit acts of heinous terrorism. That's the way it works here. Like my friend in Tennessee said when he was a kid, he actually had to take a written exam and take a class and all this shit. Here, he was stunned at what it's like to get a driver's license in New York City. So they're like, okay, drive around the block, parallel park, don't go through the red. Here you go. And you get a license, and you get a license, and you get a... I was terrified to start driving when I first got mine. I was absolutely terrified. Because they really don't do much checking to see that you actually know how to fucking drive. At all. It's so funny. It's weird, for such a progressive and regulation-heavy state, they have a very libertarian take on getting a driver's license. I gave a wave over there because he waved to let me go. Very nice of him. I love it when you call me señorita. God damn it. I gotta get Trump singing that fucking song out of my head. It's so disturbing having that play in his voice over and over in my head. Yeah, I get why you guys are holding Framework's feet to the fire with the schematics or die thing, but I think you guys are giving him too much shit. Again, the partial schematic they released, I would not call that, upon reflection, that was not really much of a step in the right direction because that thing's functionally useless. You're not going to fix anything with that schematic. But the NDA'd one for repair shops like that can actually be used to fix something. I can honestly appreciate that. New York City does not have right on red, unfortunately. This is crazy traffic. This is not what I'm used to here. Jesus. Somebody commented, Florida, why does Lewis like Florida traffic but not like New York traffic? Density. The area that I was in has, I think, 20% the density of New York City on average. Or like, if even. Jeez. Smoke them Arrow 7s, smoke them Arrow 7s. Whoa, construction work. Let's get out of this truck's blind spot before I get crushed. Race over to a red light. Ah, crap, I'm not supposed to make a left on 27th. It's faster if you take 6th up. So you'll see a 27th Street has this horrible thing where they time it so no matter how fast you go, you'll never make the light. Like, I could leave here the moment that light turns, have no traffic, go full speed, and I will not make it to the next light. I believe between, what is it? Between, I think, Madison and Broadway or around there. I forget the name, you'll see in a second. This is, so once this light in front of me turns green, there's no amount of speed that will let me get to the one in front of it. Okay. There is complete gridlock on the street, so unfortunately we ride the sidewalk. Very slowly, stay away from people. Okay. Okay, it's I think it's Madison and 5th, actually. No, I forgot which light it is. I'll know when I curse at it. There's one light here. I think it's 5th and Broadway. Okay, it's not happening because I'm recording it. Go fucking figure. Happens every other day. My luck. It's pretty active here again. Pretty active, pretty busy, pretty poppin'. You still got your office space and your retail space for lease. That's always going to be like that. Pandemic or no pandemic, economic collapse or no economic collapse, New York City will be permanently unaffordable. But that doesn't stop people from coming back. No, Honda Civic, no. Thank you. That is loud. Come. Hello, Kevin. How are you? 3, 2, 1. Come back, Barry. I scared Blackberry.